Hey, hey, hey.
Swear to God, it wasn't my fault this time. Steven
No.
unplugged the computer at 7:58.
Can I say what you say here? That saying long. Steven owes you the nickel for us being late today.
What are you doing? How you doing, Mr. Graveyard?
Pretty good, pretty good. Been a pretty busy week with work and all, but I'm excited to be here as always with you, man. When Mezzo's away, Graveyard comes and plays.
That's right. For those who don't know, Mezzo is on vacation, our fabulous director. She is on a well-deserved vacation. She's watching right now, in fact.
Yes.
And she is at Niagara Falls.
Yes.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, how are you doing today?
I am all right. I did a show in Sacramento earlier today. So it was rushing from there. We've got our big event coming up here August 4th. That's in 6 days from now. Super excited about that, trying to get all the last minute logistics together. That is going to be such a good show. We are doing the unheard of. We are putting on a free convention. So it will cost people nothing to come see 4 fabulous actors from the Star Wars universe.
That's awesome. Like I said, I wish I could be there. You know, you could have been a birthday present to me. You
know,
no, it's not. It's not Friday. It's actually Tuesday.
Yeah, that's coming up this Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Your birthday? Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
happy birthday. We'll have to have when Meth comes back, we'll have her sing like SpongeBob and sing "Happy Birthday" to you.
There we go. All right. So before we get into it, do you want to hear my pitch for our sponsorship with Dubby that I wrote up?
I would love to hear about it.
All right. So whether you're just waking up for our nerd outs on Saturday mornings, staying up late gaming with us, stuck in your retro alcove, or just tired from all your saber fights with the sabers you get from kybercave.com, make sure to check out our sponsor because Dubby is for you. Dubby has no calories, no sugar, no fillers, no artificial colors, no dyes, all natural. It has 150 milligrams of caffeine derived from the coffee bean fruit extract, and that's equivalent of 2 cups of coffee with none of the jitters and none of the shakes and all the energy.
Woo!
Neurofactor. So to get 10% off, go to www.w.gg and use code KCP2023 for 10% off. There you go.
That's right. Get your own W. And
yes.
Get out there and get your day going.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent.
Well, thank you. So,
do you have some nerdy news for us, my friend?
I do have some nerdy news for you. Let's go ahead and get that rolling here. Where's that clip? Okay, slides. Nerdy news.
Here we go.
Interesting. Is that playing for you?
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay. I didn't hear it. That's really weird. All right. Look.
There's 3. All right, go ahead.
All right. So in today's news, we have the showcase from Star Wars where it brings up.
Okay, wait, hold on. Do you have it? It's running on a loop right now.
Is that better? I said I'm not hearing it for some reason. Is it off now?
Okay, it's off now. Yeah.
That's weird. It was not playing in my headset whatsoever.
Eric says 3rd time's a charm. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
All right, so we got a sneak peek of behind the scenes of Star Wars Outlaws, which is the new game coming in 2024. And if you haven't watched the clip, the description is down below. And yeah, have you watched the trailer yet and the sneak peek?
I have. I believe this is the one where you can like jump in a ship and go up to space, right?
Yes. It's done by Massive Games and Ubisoft, where you can actually jump into the ship and fly out of orbit the entire way through. So the cutscene is through that. And the clip with, like I said, in the description below, talks about how they brought this game to life and how they walked. Make sure it's in between episodes 5 and 6 of Star Wars canon. So we are in that universe, kind of in the old Shadows of the Empire days from the old Nintendo 64 game. So it's
right.
It looks great. I'm going to get this. We're going to be playing this on Gaming Live when it comes out. So make sure.
Excellent. Yeah, this is one people are going to be waiting for. They're excited for this one.
Oh, absolutely. And then, the elephant in the room is the strike, right?
Right.
Yeah, so officially, this is the first time in 60 years that both the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA have been on strike at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So as our guest, we can't really talk about the strike or anything like that, or promote anything coming out. And we have that with going on with the actors too, because this is putting a delay on a lot of stuff. So Ahsoka, unfortunately, is not going to get all the press conference and press coverage it should be really getting, because that's going on here. Now, what they're not really sure is how this will affect things like Andor and some parts of Ahsoka, because Game of Thrones season 2 is filmed in the UK, and they cannot be in strike at the same time as America on strike. So they are able to promote the British side of things. So Game of Thrones is able to continue, and Andor has a lot of people in the UK. So, it's just tiptoeing. We're, seeing this as progresses on how this moves forward with the strike. So we are behind everyone for fair wages and fair rights and everything. So, even though we are here, we do stand behind the strike as well.
Exactly.
And that has been our nerdy news for today.
Woo! Thank you, Graveyard. That was fantastic.
Yes. So exciting stuff. Make sure to check out links to everything in the description below for any more news and info for nerdy news today.
All right.
Yes. All right. So are you ready for the flow of this show here, sir?
Yes, we are very fortunate. Every week we have our producer James Kaiser, aka Darth Cephalus. He is one of the OGs in the flow world, and every week he brings us a different flow artist or a different show. So who are our flow guests tonight?
Equilibra.
Equilibra.
Yeah, Equilibra. So let's go ahead into the flow of the show.
All righty.
Thank you, James Kaiser, for bringing that to us. And that once again, that was Equilibria.
Give me like Beetlejuice vibes with the black and the white arm.
Very reminiscent of the sand snakes in Beetlejuice. Absolutely. Right. I'm always amazed by stuff like that. I have short, stubby fingers, and I cannot do stuff like that.
I'm telling you, I know I say this every single time, but the ones that amaze me are always the people that deal with fire. Because without reserve, every single person I've seen has had long hair and still has their hair. I don't know how they do it.
I can't singe this beard. I would not dare do that. I mean,
you need to put out insurance on that beard, my friend.
I know. Wow. Once again, thank you, James, for that flow of the show. And I'm excited for today's.
I do want to remind.
Go ahead.
Yes, I am excited too. Before we get into our main feature, I do want to remind people that they can help support the show in a number of different ways. There is kcpmerch.com, where you can get merchandise that is exclusively for our YouTube channel. We have merch with all our different shows, Retro Alcove, pint glasses and blankets, and all different kinds of stuff. We have kybercave.com, which is our main source for getting all of your Saber needs. And we also have a Patreon with exclusive gifts on there. So one of the things that we have is we have 5 lightsabers we give out every year. One of them is a one-of-a-kind piece that nobody else has on the planet. We have all kinds of t-shirts and chopsticks and all kinds of fun things. So you can help support this channel for just as little as $1 a month. And if you can't do all of that, we would love it if you would just like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. Don't forget, we give away a free Saber every 50 subscribers, and I want to say we're like, I mean, every
100
100
now.
subscribers, but I think we're like 50 away or so.
Yes,
because I know I signed up a bunch of people today.
I guarantee after your event on Friday, we will be at that mark for the next Saber Rattle.
Yeah, probably next. Yeah, probably next Sunday we'll be giving away a saber. I would guess.
Yes. So
because,
make sure to check out. What?
Yes. Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm saying, so yeah, make sure to kybercave.com and make sure to support our boy Forz FX. When you get that lightsaber from us, get your sound files from Forz FX at saberfont.com. So make sure.
Oh yes, I have. I think I have at least 6 or 7 of his sound fonts on my sabers.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic, and there is stuff in the works for new fonts coming out. That's
ooh, right you'll have to stick around and find out.
Yes.
All righty. We have our next really big thing with Kyber Cave. I am super, super, super excited about this. We have an event coming up August 4th here in Sacramento from 2 to 9. It is the 10th annual Saber Battle in the Park. But what's really cool about it is this Saber Battle has been running for 10 years in Sacramento. But this is the first year we're combining a free convention, a free outdoor convention element to it. I know sometimes, especially in Northern California, it can be tough when ticket prices are $50 or $100 or $150 if you want to go all weekend to some shows. It can be a bit draining. We are doing a free convention. It costs you nothing to get in. It's going to be in the park. We'll have tons of vendors and food trucks, and we will have 4 Star Wars celebrities there. And the person that we are speaking with tonight is going to be one of those celebrities. I'm very excited to talk to her. This is going to be her first convention. This will be her first time out there meeting fans. So I want you guys to treat her like you would any of your other Star Wars celebrities that you love meeting. I know how you guys line up and wait. Just can't wait to talk to them. I am excited because Verona is in a number of different projects. And there may be some, we're going to try to tackle this as delicately as we can with the strike and stuff. So there may be questions that I may ask that she may not be allowed to answer. I want you guys to be as patient as possible. It's a strange time for everybody. So with no further ado, please give it up for Miss Verona Blue. How are you doing tonight?
I'm very well. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, I'm all amped up after watching that roll. You do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I try. I'll try anything. You know what I mean? I really love doing it. And playing with all the like props and everything, and doing all the little like room clearing SWAT stuff's really fun. So whatever.
Right. Are you also a stunt woman as well?
Not really. When I went to theater school, you do a lot of combat. So you do mostly stage stuff. So it's like swords and knives and the long swords and stuff like that. But that's not super useful in Los Angeles. I mean, in England, it is where I went to school, but you don't do it as much here. So for MoCap specifically, I've started doing like weapons training for video games. So occasionally I go to the range to actually like fire a real gun to feel what that feels like. So it looks real, even though I'm Canadian and don't like guns a lot. And then there are classes here that I take, which are specifically for like video game training for like SWAT type movements for like the Call of Duties and all of those things. But I don't do like big time stunts. There are people who care a lot less about their central nervous system than I do. That'll like just wreck their bodies and it looks amazing. But
right. Well, I did notice you were doing some of the fight scenes in some of those games. Is there a certain point in movies and video games where they go, okay, this is small enough, this is easy enough that the actor can do it, but when it starts getting more intense, this is when we need to bring in a stunt person? So is it like a certain level of activity you can do? Or
I mean, part of it is there's a couple of things. Part of it is insurance. So depending on what the project is, if you're an actor on a film, if you're a main actor or like a primary character or an important character and you get injured, they can't film anymore, right? Which is why like Tom Cruise doing all his own stunts all the time probably makes the insurance people terrified.
Right.
Cruise breaks his neck, the movie is
done.
Right. And so in some cases, it has to do with the insurance and whether or not they feel comfortable putting you in that scenario. In other times, you will do like the beginning or the end of a fight, or you'll do inserts. So obviously they see it doesn't look like a stunt double, or you'll do a version that's like not as intense, so they can get the shots and they cut between the more intense version and your version. I did do a TV show once where I had like a gun and I get shot with a squib, and then the other actor comes and like kicks the gun out of my hand and then smashes my head on glass. And she did come and kick the gun out of my hand and nearly broke my arm doing it. And then I got squibbed and everything. But the glass face smashing, they had to double do it because they didn't, even though it's, glass it's meant to break. Right. Shoot it again and I'm bleeding, like they're screwed.
Right. If you get a scar or something.
A lot of the times. And then for the video games, if you're doing these like really intense cutscenes with like really elaborate fighting, first of all, the choreography is quite complicated. So it's not worth trying to train a non-stunt or choreo actor to do that.
Right.
And also, like, it's just easier if they have a stunt team that is always rehearsing these kinds of things and shoots all of the cutscenes for all of the characters in a couple of days, rather than I come in one day and I do the cutscene where I talk and then I do the, I come back another day. They can just bang it out, because at the end of the day, the face and the body's not, in a video game, it's the skeleton, right? So my characters do a lot cooler things than I can ever do, because someone much more talented is doing all the hard.
Now, it almost seems to me, it's kind of funny, but listening to you talking about taking these different training on like weapons and things, it almost seems like it's almost like a college curriculum where you're knocking out different, this is my, my elective. I'm going to take heavy weapon combat training. I'm going to take stunts over here. It seems like there's almost like classes that you have to fill out on a resume. Does that help you when you go into these shoots to be able to say, I've had these extra classes in machine guns or whatever else it is?
Absolutely. So acting, although a lot of people are very talented as children, or some people have a knack for it, it's a job that requires training. The people who are very good actors don't just sit at home and then stand up and start acting. Like, you go to acting school, we continually take acting classes. Like, even famous people have acting coaches on set. They have dialect coaches that they work with, especially if you're trying to assume a character that's very different from how you are day to day, whether you're doing sort of an impersonation type of, biography role, like or you're doing something just like really out of your wheelhouse because you're at that level and you've been trusted with that. You need to learn how to do it. It's not something that very many people can do without practice, without really getting it in your body, whether it's a voice, an accent, or whatever. So it depends on what your focus is, and it depends on what kind of projects you want to go for. It depends on what kind of projects you've booked successfully in the past and what skills would be useful to make sure that you can keep moving forward, because it is so competitive. So I did go to theater school and did like a full program with voice and dance and combat and accents and all of the things that you do.
Right.
And after moving to LA, I took a class to learn how to act for commercials, because that's very different from Shakespeare. And how does that look on TV? And then I've taken a bunch of just various acting classes for how sitcom acting is different than soap opera acting, is different from acting. HBO show and a CW show are very different, and it's because the style of writing, shooting, acting is different.
Wow.
And it's things that we could very easily identify. We can look at a show and be like, oh, that's a CW show, or that's an ABC show, versus like, that's an HBO. It's totally different vibe.
Wow.
So, it's up to the actor at the end of the day, but I highly recommend that if somebody is serious about any field of acting, whether it's MoCap or voice or television or commercials even, you have to keep that muscle going. You never see like basketball players practice basketball all the time, right?
Right.
Ballet dancers in a company have a ballet class every day, even if they're in full performance mode, But actors like stand backstage and smoke cigarettes. You know what I mean? Like you have to practice. So it's just part of the job if you want to be successful.
Now, I know that, when we're talking about acting, there's different kinds. Obviously, if you're a stage actor, you have to get it right every night, nail it every performance. If you're in front of a camera, there's a little more room for you to back up and redo a take. Is there a difference between movie acting and video game acting?
Oh, I think it's interesting. There is and there isn't. I would say video game acting overall is a little bit more like theater in terms of the style of performance and the way that you have to embody the character. Because in video games, although the technology is getting a lot better, the cameras, when you're in a MoCap suit, they only see your skeleton. They don't know what you look like. It's a camera on your face, but they don't know. It doesn't know what you look like. It doesn't know how tall you are, how short, how thin, how muscular, how fat, whatever. So there's choices you have to make about how your character moves in the space. And also, you can't animate nothing. And this also applies to voiceover, right? Unless it's a gag where on a cartoon, the character, like, Family Guy does this a lot, where the character just like freezes, nothing happens. That's the gag. If no one's saying anything, nothing is happening on the screen.
Right.
Video games are the same way, which is why you have these character idols where they're like breathing really obviously, or they swivel their gun, or they do a little whatever.
Right.
If they don't do that, then it's just a picture.
Right.
Yeah. So I would say that like the acting, it's a little bit more theatrical because it is so much more of your whole body. Where when you're doing television or film, it's, you can use your eyes in television film to really express a lot. And MoCap doesn't care about that at all. It's going to be digitized. They can make you look a different direction. I mean, Cage in Survivor she's now totally, she's got this, I couldn't use my eyes at all. I'd use my whole head.
Right.
But on the other hand, as the technology gets better, the quality of the performance has to be more like film or television. The writing is more sincere. If you think of The Last of Us, how that translates even from the game to the show.
Exactly.
So it's so gritty and it's so real, even in the game, and people get really attached to those characters because the performance is good. So it's sort of in between. It's like this pendulum, depending on kind of what kind of character you're doing and what kind of game it is.
Right. Now, you do have a question down here from a viewer. They say, Stephen asks, Verona, what was your favorite thing to do? If you were to go, if someone in the audience were to go to your IMDb page, you've got quite a few things. You got video games, you have TV series, you have a movie, and I think I saw that you wrote something as well, that you wrote a short movie. What is your favorite thing to do?
That is a really hard question because I feel like every time I do something, that's my new favorite thing. Like the novelty of it is so exciting. I'm not a good writer. When I first moved to LA, I wrote a short film for myself to showcase myself in the way that I would like to be cast. It's a very like David Finchery, like vibey film about a killer that I made to be like, this is what I want to do. This is how you should cast me. It's more like a trailer for myself because I didn't have any professional tape to show from anything that I've done.
Right.
I really love working in the Star Wars universe. Like I really do. It's partially because like I'm a massive fan.
Right.
That I even get to do it is wild. Like I would never, as a kid or a teenager, like ever know if someone was like, hey, in 15 years, your name is going to be in whitish, bluish letters forever in the credits.
And you're going to be a canon character.
And it's a dream, but it doesn't actually happen to any. It happens to them, but it doesn't happen to you.
Right.
I really do love working on Star Wars because the material is fun. Everybody who works on it now is like also a massive nerd and a fan and like so devoted to making it good. Like there's nobody in the room that is like, yes, screw this. Like I don't care. Everybody's like, it's Star Wars.
Right.
So I love that. But I think like ultimately, if someone said like you could do any project tomorrow, I would want to do like a TV show, like a horror TV show, or like a scary, or like a drama, like some like heavy, dark thing. I think that'd be really fun.
Oh, I got to talk to you. Actually, so we have our YouTube channel here, and we were talking about trying to figure out how to get more viewers, and we were talking about the TikTok shorts and how the 1 minute shorts are just the thing right now. And I was like, oh my God, I totally got it. I started writing some storyboards, but I was like, short form horror stories, 1 minute horror stories. I bet those would go viral in a minute.
Yeah, totally. That's such a great idea.
Well, thank you. Maybe we'll get you to star in a short for us. So we have a question here. Say Wong wants to know, what's the process like in a motion capture suit?
Oh, that's a great question. So you're basically wearing pajamas.
I mean, is it as light as pajamas, or are they tight fitting, or is
So
it?
they're very tight fitting because the little balls on there, when you're doing what's called an optical motion capture, which is when they have the cameras everywhere, it's the thing that you normally would see in most cases. They can't move. They represent points on your body for the computer to be able to triangulate what's happening with your body. So basically what you do is you put on the suit. It's very tight. Usually because of all the cameras, the room is freezing cold. So if you're a person like myself who runs cold.
Wait, it's freezing cold. I would think it'd be extremely hot because of all the cameras.
No, because they blast the AC. Like they blast the AC.
Oh,
blast the AC. Blow out. So the room it's called the volume.
Yes.
Yeah.
The volume's so cool.
Yeah, it's called the volume, and they come in different sizes. But they have the thing with the cameras called the truss. And rule number 1, never touch the truss. Don't think about the truss.
Right.
You have the cameras all around you. You put on the suit, and then usually they have an assistant of some kind who works there. And they put all the little balls on you, the little reflective balls. And then sometimes you see you have like the little colored patches. You know, we always say like, I'm the pink ranger, I'm the orange ranger, whatever it is that day. And often you have a little sort of almost like a QR code attached to you somewhere as well that helps the camera differentiate between the different actors. So that this skeleton belongs to this person, etc. And then you do something called a ROM, a range of motion. So you go and somebody does it for you, and you just usually copy them, and it shows what your range of motion is for you. So your character will rarely do anything that you can't do, right?
Right.
But if I'm not hyper flexible and I can't get my leg up here, then my character should not do that. And if it was on the computer, something's gone wrong. You usually do a quick ROM. Depending on whether or not you have a face camera or not, is sort of a slightly different shoot, because then you have to be mic'd as well. And then after that ROM, you do, I'm sure everybody knows, you do a T-pose, you stand there until they say, and then anybody who's not in the suit, the camera can't see. So let's say you have a scene where you are going against like really bad wind, and it's like you're leaning into the wind and it's so hard. You can have someone like wrap something around you and like hold you.
Oh yeah.
Have like actual tension to pull against, or you could, if you're dragging something, have somebody sit on something and you're pulling them, or you just pull tug of war with them because the camera can't see them.
Right.
If things are floating through the air, like Cage has a thermal detonator that gets force grabbed from her, right? I'm holding the thing. Somebody just took it and ran over there with it. I can't see them, and then handed it overhanded it to Cameron.
I'm sure it feels super cheesy when you're doing it, but it's going to look good. Like when the final.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think something happens. And I think it's part of just the acting process that like, once you're really in the moment, and I'm sure everybody's slightly different, but for me, when I'm really into it, I don't really know what's happening around me, especially if I have a camera on. I'm just acting. So unless something goes wrong, the thing gets force pulled. Like I don't see that Peter or whoever is there grabbing the ball.
Right. You see the force pulling it.
It just gets pulled out of my hand. Because if I look at him doing it, then it'll be so weird for the audience that I've like acknowledged, it's supposed to be a surprise. So part of it is just like really getting into your character, into the scene. And then depending on the kind of mocap you're doing, like I said, if you have a camera on, it's slightly different. You'll be mic'd. You have all these lights in your face, which I personally stopped noticing almost immediately, but you can't touch your face, right?
Right.
Sometimes you go to do something and there's just like a camera there, right? And then you bump it and you have to do the whole thing again.
Oh, wow.
stuff like if a character's eating an apple, like it's way out here, you know?
Right.
And then the computer will have to fix it to your mouth.
Wow.
So it's interesting, but yeah, you're wearing this very tight outfit. If you need to go to the restroom, you know, they have to ROM you later.
Right.
So you have to be very confident in your body to walk around in that suit.
All right, so there's another question here. And I kind of wanted to add my own question onto this. So this will be two separate things. Graveyard asked, do you feel that MoCap has helped the acting in video games improve and be considered a true media to tell a story? And my question that's kind of a tag along on this is, you know, oftentimes when we talk about artists, we talk about painters, we talk about actors, we talk about dancers maybe, but you rarely hear video games included into list of true art and beauty. How do you feel about that? Do you feel video games are just as much an art form as dancing or painting or traditional acting?
So I'll start with your question first, and then I'll go to the former question.
Okay.
So, I mean, video games now are stunning. The level, I mean, the people who make them are artists, right? Whether they're artists on a computer, whether they're storyboarded, those characters are sketched out probably by hand at some point before they're digitized and refined. All of those landscapes, the games that have the like in-game photography, like Jedi Survivor, it's unbelievable. Like the detail, you can zoom into those. It's like a cosplayer's dream. You can zoom in and see the stitching on a glove for a character that does not exist in the real world. So absolutely, it's an art form. Absolutely. The way that we interact and play video games, the way the cutscenes are created, the way they are scored, the sound, the progression, the fact that there are sequels where the stories and the characters grow. I mean, that is absolutely an art form. And it's a combination of this entertainment media and like this traditional art of like the presentation of painting or drawing or whatever. So, I mean, anybody who says it's not is been living under a rock. We're not, it's not like Street Fighter anymore where they're just like, you know, these weird stiff 8-bit things. It's cinema quality rendering, sometimes better than the stuff you see in a movie theater. Right. So absolutely an art form. And then in terms of helping acting, you know, MoCap's been around for a long time, a really long time. And they did MoCap for a lot of those kind of games that are like not as impressive to look at, like the Street Fighters. They MoCap'd those people. The technology is not as advanced.
Right. The original Mortal Kombat was that way as well, I believe.
Right. They had actors in those suits. And they had actors doing those weird idols, and it was usually one or two of the same guys. One of the people that I learned from is a guy. He goes by the MoCap Man. His name is Richard Dorton, and he's done. If you look at his resume, the man has done literally everything. I mean, like it's wild, and he has played a lot of characters you would not expect, including like women characters back in the day when they just had like one guy doing all of the characters on set that day, or two guys doing all of the characters. It was it's such a Wild West part of the industry, even still to some degree.
Right.
So yeah, like it has the quality of the technology and rendering and computer power has certainly helped, I think, legitimize video games as a real acting form. And I think over probably the last 5 years, you see a lot more actors who probably previously would have never considered video games as a viable or interesting art form or medium moving in the same way that in the 90s, movie stars were like television, you know, and now everybody wants to do television.
Right.
So it's just a natural, I think, evolution of the medium and the quality of the writing. In video games, you can push a lot more boundaries now because you're not like pandering to a company that needs to sell vacuum cleaners to somebody in Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Like when you have to consider how advertising pays for television, you have to censor the storylines a little bit or be more palatable. And in video games, we have a lot more flexibility in terms of like straight up violence or themes or anything that people really want to see.
Right. Verona, are you a gamer yourself?
Man, I suck at video games. Real bad. I honestly, I like puzzle games. So like I like a Portal.
Right.
Love a Mist. I have the Oculus Rift and I play Mist on that. You like walk around. Nobody's trying to kill me. There's
right.
weird heartbeat and like shaking that's like terrifying. Like those, man, I don't have the constitution for those. I love pinball. I have 3 pinball machines. They're not scary. I don't like the little knocking noise that they make when you win a free game through the match, so I always turn that off because it scares this out of me. I try, and it's always just so embarrassing for me. Like there's too many buttons, man. I don't know.
Do you another thing I was going to ask you, in your game Jedi Survivor, you play a character, is it named Cage? Is that the first name?
Yeah, Cage Vanda.
And she is I guess would she be is she the same, what race is that character?
She's now Tolan, which is the same race as Kit Fisto.
That's what I thought, because she has like the braids like Kit Fisto's, like right?
Weird tentacle things, yeah.
So is it difficult? I mean, obviously you've done regular movies, you know how to be a human being, but there's not a lot of research on how to be an alien, how to be somebody from another planet.
Yeah.
Do you have to go into a different mind space when you're playing an alien as opposed to playing a human being?
With Cage, a lot of it had to do with her swagger more than anything. The fact that she happens to be now Tolan was a little bit less important to the fact that she has like her attitude. It's more about character building in the same way you would for anything, where it's like, where did she come from? Why is she hiding out here? Why is she how she is? Why is she like always drinking in the cantina? Like, what trauma is she dealing with? Or like,
right.
What is she like pushing down? I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but like, why is she so mean? Really?
Right.
So it had more to do with like, because she has mostly a humanoid body except for her head. It's certainly less complicated than if I was like playing Godzilla, right? Godzilla is a massive creature with a giant tail, and you have to be aware of the tail all the time, and like the actual like physical weight of a creature that size when they move is very
right.
low,
How's it going to impact the ground?
Right. You have to see that in the body, where she's like this kind of spindly, like her body type and my body type are basically the same. She's a little bit taller, maybe, and a little bit skinnier, and she has this weird head, but
right.
for all intents and purposes, she's not so alien. So it was more just about like, why is she how she is, and making decisions about like how mean do I want to make her versus how just generally dismissive. I chose to make her very mean. And how does she, where does she hold tension, right? When she's in a standoff, she's trying to play it very cool, but she knows that like Cal can kill her at any time. She knows that. So like there still has to be that like preparedness to like, draw in at a moment's notice. So it was more physicality like that, I think. But like I had mentioned, she has these, she's now Tolan. You can't use her eyes to look. I have to use her whole head because it doesn't work. She has these like dinner plate saucer alien things. And also being aware that she has a hat on. So like what happens with your face and just the technical aspect of having a gun on your hip, can you pull it or not? What is she wearing? What's the swagger like? So yeah, it's because you have this character without a costume. So you have to imagine what that costume is like. And you can kind of cheat a little bit. Like you can ask them for a holster and a pistol, and they'll just like Velcro it to your side. A thermal detonator, which is like Velcroed to my waist, basically, as if I had a belt on.
Right.
And I got like a little strap thing so I could kind of hook my thumbs in it as if I'm wearing that holster. And the camera can see it, but like my body position changes a lot if I'm actually using a holster versus like pretending to use one.
Right.
I mean, if they gave me a creature that had like 6 heads and a tail, it would be a very different process for sure.
Right. Now, I wanted to ask you, I'm not sure how your relationship works with, say, Disney or the video games, because I've noticed you're in a couple of different video games. And then you were also in the film end of it too, right? So a lot of times with, say, some of the, the bigger actors, you'll hear that George Lucas has called them in, but they have no idea what they're coming in for or what they're doing. But it seems like you might have a little bit of a different relationship. No? So they'll just call you up and say, you're going to be auditioning, but we can't tell you anything about it.
Yep.
Even though you've done several Star Wars projects.
I mean, I've been under a Disney NDA for Star Wars projects for like 10 years now. And they literally, look, nobody even told me what the game was officially until the day it came out. Like officially on paper. I was never officially told. I was not told what my character looked like until somebody illicitly sent me a picture, because I was like, what am I supposed to do? When I auditioned, the character name was fake. The script was fake. Wow. It's under a code name. They just said it was like a sci-fi fantasy, AAA sci-fi fantasy video game. They did not tell me it was a second part of a franchise. They did not. I mean, I could tell by the description that it was a Star Wars, because I am a Star Wars. So I could look at it and go, oh, this is a bounty hunter in a Star Wars game for sure. But it's not explicit. They don't tell you. And when you sign your contract, they don't tell you. And when you get on set, they don't tell you. Wow. And they don't tell you. They do not tell you. To get my script so I could work with a dialect coach in advance was like, my manager had to
I was going to say, how do you prepare for something like this?
Very carefully. I mean, working on the films and stuff, they also don't tell you or provide you, like, it's a little bit different, I'm sure, if you're playing a primary character, but the voice stuff that I've done, they didn't tell me even anything about anything until you were in the room. Basically, the door is locked and you sign the contract. Like, wow. They don't. And working on those films, if it was the primary 3 films in the new trilogy, all of the scenes that we saw to work against were in black and white. And if it was the side ones, like Rogue One, whatever, those were in color because they were the ones that they didn't care about. Even when you're working on it, they won't give you context for like, this is like as little context as possible. It's wild. It's really wild. So being somebody who is a Star Wars fan, I think has given me a big advantage when I get there, because I know what the world feels like. And I'm really not going to do anything that feels totally off.
Right. I find it. Sorry. Go ahead.
I said they don't tell you anything. Nothing. Right.
I find it so interesting because you're in this generation of Star Wars. Like you were saying, like everybody that you work with has grown up with Star Wars. Yeah. And I noticed, like, when I watch like the behind the scenes of Mandalorian or things like that, it just seems like everybody from the sound person to the text to even catering, they are so dedicated to their job because this is something they grew up with and they loved from a time that they were, a child. Yeah. It's so different than I've talked to, we've have some of the actors that you're going to meet on this Friday, obviously when they did Star Wars, nobody had heard of it. Nobody knew what it was going to be. So they're walking into this fresh thing, not knowing, but you're walking into something already knowing the gravity of what this is. How does that feel? Does it make it nerve-wracking? Like, you don't want to be the next Jar Jar?
It really is a combination of like pure excitement because you get to work on the thing. Right. And so terrifying, before Jedi Survivor came out, I was talking to my friends. I was like, what if they hate her? Like, I've seen video games come out and I've seen people on Twitter just like tear apart a character, a game studio, an actor, like for like the littlest thing and just like, just like the meanest dialogue. And I was like, what if they hate her? Like, what if they just don't, what if they're mean to me because they don't like her? So it is really scary to some degree to originate a new character in the Star Wars universe because the internet's really not forgiving. And I would say that I'm very fortunate that 99.9% of the feedback that I've had from people have been people who like love her. They've been really like loving and welcoming, and they're excited and they want to know things about her and they want to know what it was like these kinds of questions that you're asking. They're really excited about her being new and what she might bring to the universe, as opposed to just like arrows, constantly. So I have been very lucky. I've had a couple of like comments and I just block those people right away because
there's always going to be trolls out there somewhere.
My anxiety can handle that. So
all right. So we got a couple of questions stacking up from the audience. I'm going to try to hit 3 of them. Okay. And then I'll let you. 2 of them have to do with MoCap still. Okay. And then one is a completely different question. Let's see. Let me go back a little bit. One question was, are the MoCap suits comfy? You were talking about how tight they were, but are they comfy?
I think I find them pretty comfortable. The only thing I don't find comfortable is the hand parts have this like little elastic that goes around your thumb, and they have to pull it back really far so it doesn't move. And I always find that it like digs, or they'll put it like here on your fingers. Right. And I always pull it off and like tuck it underneath. I don't want the, because they'll like yank it. I'm like, it really hurts. So when they're not looking, I like always unhook it.
Right. All right. The next question we have is, how much improv can you do as a character in a video game versus a movie or a TV show? Like, do you get chances, or is it, this is your line, read your line and move on? Or do you get to play with the character a little bit?
I would say in video games, you don't have a lot of flexibility overall, because you are burning money every second that camera is rolling. The amount of data that they are processing, because it's your whole body, everybody in the scene, like it is an expensive process to run it, to film a video game. So there's not, in my experience, there's not a lot of flexibility when it comes to, which is why you always have a rehearsal in advance, usually a day before, and then you run through it a couple times before they start actually shooting, for the whole thing. And then, like I said, the choreo will be banged out with a professional stunt team, because they do not have the time is in the biggest way on video games. Wow. On television and film, it kind of depends on the project. I have done television where the director comes up or the head writer comes up and like whispers something to me so that I can kind of like play with the scene a little bit more for effect, because they want to get a better reaction out of their star or the other person in the scene. So like improving, like especially in comedy, you can improv. But then there are certain shows where like the showrunners are very strict. There's no improv. You're not allowed to bring your script to set at all. Like they expect you to walk on set, know everything to the comma, and just do it as written, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have one more question that I find very interesting, and then it led into somebody else in the comments answering, but I want to get your take on it, because this person is not a professional actor, so I don't know if they necessarily would know. Okay, so the original question was, if it's already been talked about, sorry, but how have you felt the impact of all the SAG after strikes, if at all? Has it bled over into voice acting and MoCap? And then somebody commented that the SAG after strikes did not bleed into voice acting. Is that true?
Yeah, so the only things that are struck are film and television.
Okay.
So I can still do video games. I can still do voice acting that is not film or television. So I can't do a Pixar movie. I can't do a Nickelodeon show, any of that, but I can do other things.
Like also, a book, like a chapter book or something.
Yeah,
you can read a book.
Audiobooks for industrials, things like that, like educational, and then obviously non-union stuff, which has always commercials, voiceover commercials you can do. So the strike is interesting because, I'm not allowed, I've been trying to be kind of vague, because I'm not really allowed to talk about any projects that are film or TV, even if they've already happened, and even if I'm not in them, because it is technically promoting them. So even on my social media, I'm not supposed to post if I go see, the 2 big movies that came out the other week. Like I'm not supposed to post about whether I even saw them or if I liked, like I'm not supposed to. Yeah.
You say you can't even give an opinion. You can't even say, oh my God, I love Barbie.
Because I can't post about it. Wow. So it's a bit of a weird situation, but I have to say, in terms of like work, obviously film and television auditions are like non-existent at the moment. There are a bunch of indie studios that are complying with what SAG wants. And so they get a special waiver. So they can move forward because they agreed to the terms of SAG, and they're not part of the AMPTP, which is the big studio system that we're fighting with at the moment. Right. So there's been a lot of voice auditions, like a ton of voice auditions. There's been quite a lot of video, like massive studio video game auditions, like AAA video game auditions, commercial auditions, even in person. I've been going back in person doing commercial auditions. So it has been actually surprisingly busy for me.
Right.
Which is a little bit weird, but I'm not any of the stuff that normally this time of year I'd be auditioning for, the secondary characters on the new fall television shows.
Right.
Auditioning for recurring characters on existing shows in their second or third season, which I am not getting to do, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, at this point in your career, you're still at the point where you're auditioning for things. You're not at the point, or are you at the point where sometimes people will call you for things like, "Hey, there's this thing coming up, and we think you'd be great for it." Where is it? A mix of both?
It's mostly that I audition, but I get a lot of auditions where I'm requested to audition.
Mm-hmm.
So normally what happens, you or your representation, they see the audition information come out on the breakdown systems, and then they submit you and say they either can call or do it over the online system and say, like, we think this actor would be great. You should see them. And then that casting director says, yes, I would like them to audition, or no, like, we're not interested. And now I do have a lot of casting directors contacting my representation and saying, we're interested in seeing Verona for this role. Right. So they come like directly to my reps to ask for me. So that's like not quite as far as like, we'd like to just give her the job. I still have to wait for it, but I'm now being invited to read. I've been invited to read for like a lot of huge things, and have been called back and have been to the, the top list. When I got Cage Vanda, even for Jedi Survivor, there was another video, Star Wars Squadrons, that I had auditioned for, and I'd made it to like the top 2 for the character, and then they went with the other person. When I auditioned for this, like, I didn't have to do a pre-screen. I just went directly to my audition. Because
they knew you from the other audition, right?
Yeah, I auditioned directly with Tom Keegan, who's the director, because I had already proven that I could do the basics of the job, and it was whether or not I was right for this specific character.
Right.
So I didn't have to go through the whole process. I went all the way to the front of the line.
Right. Wow, that is absolutely incredible. I know that there's, there's another question. Oh my goodness, the questions are coming in. And we've got probably about 5 more minutes before we're going to get ready and wrap this up. I appreciate all the time you've been spending with us. This has been absolute delight. How many cons? I'm going to answer this one for you. Mike Berger of the Jedi Council of America says, how many cons do you do a year? And I will say, I am very excited that this will be Verona's first con experience with us on August 4th. So this will be her first time coming to meet all of the fans. So that is the answer to that one. Mez says, do you have a favorite role so far?
I really love playing Cage, and I really hope I get to play Cage again. I think it would be so cool if she got to do one of the TV shows. I think that'd be the best. But even, she doesn't die, so like maybe another video game. And then last year, I can't really talk about this, but a little bit. Right. Last year, I did an episode of VHS, which is the horror anthology put out by Shudder, and I play a character called Deidre, who's in this like post-punk 90s band, and things go badly. And that was, being in a fake band was so cool. Like, I play a classical instrument. I don't play the bass or guitar or anything cool.
Right.
And so for this, I had to like learn how to play the song on the bass, and I had this like rad costume, and we basically filmed a music video, and that was really fun. That was like really, really fun.
Dude, you were totally the Go-Go's.
Yeah. It was rad.
Right. So you actually know how to play like one song on a bass now?
I did. Can I?
If I threw you a bass right now, could you play that same song?
No. Definitely no.
And lastly, I want to ask you, what do you like to do when you're not thinking about being an actress and taking over the world? What do you like to do for fun? Do you like to fish? Do you like to go camping? Do you have time to do any of these things?
Well, I love not camping.
I like comfort.
So I love to swim when it's warm enough. I will like do laps forever. I just like being in the water, preferably in a pool than the ocean, because I don't like sea life. I don't want fish touching me or so I love to swim. And I take ballet classes. I never took it as a kid. I started taking it as an adult, so I'm not very good at it, but I've been taking it for like 6 or 7 years. And I like to do that. I also, I'm the vice president of a dog rescue in Los Angeles. So I spend
very cool
doing dog stuff. So I'm a Chihuahua enthusiast. It's just tiny dogs.
Nice.
So I spend a lot of time. We do adoption fairs every couple of weeks in Los Angeles. I go to the shelter and actually get dogs and evaluate dogs. And I do with my own dogs. I do like a lot of dog training, trick training. They're like certified trick dogs. They do like
wow.
Yeah, so a lot of dog stuff is what I do.
Have you always has dogs been in your family? Like, is that kind of a thing that you've always had dogs around, or?
When my parents got married, my dad had like 13 cats or something like that. So like pets have always been really big. And when I was really little, if there was like a raccoon fell out of raccoon nest or like a baby something, we'd like take it. We'd always have like stray animals or baby animals that needed rehabbing. And we had a dog when I was growing up, but when I became an adult and I lived in an apartment, I was like, I want a dog, but I'm in Canada, so I don't want to have to go out in the wintertime.
Right.
Or whatever. So I need a little dog that I can like keep inside. So I ended up with a Chihuahua, and she just completely now it's Chihuahua's everything all the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So now I'm just like dog lover number one, really. My TikTok feed is like dogs and like birds banging on things. Like that's
That's fantastic. Well, Verona, we are over our time. I'm sorry for keeping you a little bit over, but I just was having so much fun talking to you. Time just goes like that. I am very excited to meet you this Friday. I know our director, Mezzo, is really bummed out. She's not going to get a chance to meet you.
Another time, for sure.
So, yeah, we'll have to get your autograph on a poster for her.
Okay.
But I want to thank you very, very much. Hopefully after the strike is over and you're a little more open to talking about some of the stuff that's going on with you, we can have you back on the show and you can let us know what's going on.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to meet you. Everybody come to the con and make me feel not weird and, chat.
I can't wait to lightsaber battle with you. It's me and you.
Okay. Embarrassing for me, but okay.
Verona, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, and I will see you on Friday.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Adios.
You can't really blame me for this.
Oh, I can, and I do.
Shut up and drop the guns!
Oh, I didn't be the big screen.
I wasn't ready for that. That was craziness.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Verona. That was a fantastic interview. I'm jealous you get to meet her.
Well, we will make sure to get an autograph poster for you, Graveyard.
Awesome. I'm excited for you guys. Can't wait to see everything. Can't wait to see the coverage. And I hope Kevin's there to do a Comic-Con adventure for us.
Yeah, hopefully he will be. I mean, it's funny. I see him at a lot of these events, but he never stops by the Kyber Cave table. I was like, dude, you are on our damn show every week. How come you never stop by the table?
Great question for him. So
right. And on that note,
yes, we do. We have a Comic-Con adventure with Kevin Hogan for you right now.
Here we go.
Hello, this is Kevin Hogan from Northern California with another episode of California Comic-Con Adventures. On the weekend of July 20th through the 23rd, 2023 was San Diego Comic-Con International 2023. That's the largest Comic-Con in America. We saw thousands and thousands of fans go to the completely sold-out Comic-Con there. Now, although the writer and actors strike was still going on there, they couldn't have the writers and actors there to promote their upcoming movies and works there. There were still lots of fans there showing off their fun cosplays, a totally packed vendor hall there. So we got to see lots of cool stuff going on there. And there was even a memorial for the Green Power Ranger Jason David Frank, who recently passed there, unfortunately, there. So there was lots of interesting stuff to see down there at San Diego Comic-Con. If you ever get a chance, it's a definitely interesting thing to see there. But definitely plan ahead because, of course, that event did sell. Also on the weekend of July 22nd, 2023 was the Dreamscape Midsummer Days pop-up event over in the city of Newark. This is a combination event, so it's like a outdoor Comic-Con where you get to see a bunch of cosplayers and vendors selling their fun pop culture wares and souvenirs there. But you also get to see a bunch of Itasha sports cars on display with a bunch of anime decal stickers and vinyl wraps there. So it's a fun outdoor event there where you get to walk around and enjoy the summer weather there, and you get to see a bunch of cool sports cars on display and how they can be decorated there with a bunch of cool anime characters. So that's a neat idea. We hope to see more Comic-Cons take advantage of the cool weather there. Also, that same weekend on July 22nd, our friends over at Ohana Comic-Con had a free event up in Northern California in the city of Livermore. And on July the 22nd, the very next day, they had an event over in Santa Cruz. Ohana Comic-Con, as you know, travels up and down the state of California, having Comic-Cons in a different city every single weekend, sometimes 2 events the same weekend. Ohana Comic-Con has a $1 off coupon if you print off their flyer on the Facebook website. And their events are very economical. They usually have them at Veterans Halls, Moose and Elk Lodges, often where there's free parking. You get to see local vendors selling arts and crafts there and sports memorabilia, and they often have a Comic-Con or cosplay contest there in the afternoon, usually around 2:30, so you get to hang out with local friends there, see some fun, cool costumes there, and they get to win some prizes there, so it's a very fun thing when a Comic-Con visits a town near you. Definitely recommend checking it out. And for those of you looking forward to upcoming events, definitely want to check out the big lightsaber battle that's going to be on Friday, August the 4th, 2023 from 2 o'clock to 9 o'clock. That's hosted by Kyber Cave in Fremont Park in Sacramento. Again, that all of you in Sacramento definitely want to come over to Fremont Park. That's going to be on Friday, August the 4th from 2 to 9 at Fremont Park in Sacramento. And for those of you near the Tracy area, Ohana Comic-Con is going to be having one of their fun events on August the 6th. Again, that's Ohana Comic-Con is going to be having one of their fun Comic-Con events on August the 6th from 11 to 4 in Tracy. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the picks, and we'll see you out there at the next Comic-Con.
Thank you, Kevin Hogan, as always, for that Comic-Con Adventures. Always a blast to see you out there. I don't know how
Kevin, did you go to San Diego? I mean, obviously you had pictures there, but I don't know if you just pulled those offline or did you actually make it down to San Diego Comic-Con? Because if you did, I'm awfully jealous, my friend.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it, dude. He goes to at least 2 conventions every weekend. And I mean, that just tells you how many we have out here. But, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm trying to go to 2 a year. A year. Especially with the horror stuff that I do, it's so far spread out across this country for me. Somehow,
right?
There's a lot of stuff out by you guys, a lot of stuff on the East Coast and the mid coast here. Not a lot of stuff that I can find. But.
Right, I want to say between us and LA, there's probably at least 4 or 5 pretty big horror shows. Not even tiny shows, but like decent sized conventions. Probably 4 or 5 a year out here in California. That's just specifically on horror. Or that genre.
Yeah, that's astounding. And like I said, I'd love to do more. Hopefully 2024 is the year the beard goes out.
The year of the beard.
Year of the beard. All right. So let's plug where we're doing what you're doing on Friday for us.
Yes, do not forget August 4th. We are going to be at Fremont Park in Sacramento. Just use your Google machine to figure out exactly where that is. This is going to be a free outdoor convention, something completely unheard of in these times, but you'll get to meet Veronica Blue. You'll get to meet Alan Fernandez, who is the last living Tusken Raider from A New Hope. We have David Gonzalez, who was Ak Rev. He was the drummer on Jabba's skiff. And we have Stephen Constantino, who was our guest a couple of weeks ago. He was a Gamorrean guard on. So it's going to be a very Tatooine kind of a day. But all of these celebrities are coming out. You get to meet them. There is no admission price. A lot of them are going to be doing autographs and things like that. I don't know if we're going to be able to have a celebrity panel because of the whole strike thing. So, they may just be at their tables or, but we are going to have, that's during the daytime, and at nighttime is going to be like 600 nerds in the park beating each other up with glow sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. What more can you ask for?
Exactly.
So please be sure to come out to that. The very next day, we are going to be in Benicia at the Hello Kitty event. So the two very different events. We'll be rocking Star Wars, then we're going to Hello Kitty.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for you guys. I love to see you guys out there every weekend if you can. It's amazing. And hopefully 2024 is the year of traveling in the van, right?
Yes, I want to come out to you, my friend.
Yes.
That is my goal.
We'll make it happen. All right.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. That lets people know that people are interested and they're talking about the show. And please share it with your friends. These are fun shows. I've seen 3 or 4 people already tonight say that this is one of their favorite interviews that we do. We interview so many interesting people. Sometimes there's actors and actresses. Sometimes we interview cosplayers. Sometimes we interview people that make lightsabers. We try to keep it interesting. And this is show 154, and we haven't had anything but I'm actually surprised at some of the people that actually come and talk to me.
Yeah.
Under what other condition could I get a cool actress like Verona Blue to come talk to me if I didn't have a show?
Yes. So thank you, everyone. And make sure that if you want to talk nerdy to us, you want to talk horror with me, you want to talk gaming with us, join our Discord server too. It costs $0. We are all part of it. We will all talk to you and nerd out with everyone here about anything and everything.
That's right. We do programming 7 days a week on this channel. So if you're not into the interviews, you'll probably be into the gaming. We have medical shows. We have all kinds of fun stuff here. So come check us out. Every day we got something for you.
Yes, and new stuff coming out soon too. So subscribing, liking really helps us out with everything we do. So make sure spread the word and more.
And don't forget, roughly 50 more subscribers is our next Saber giveaway. Mm-hmm. I think we are going to hit it by next Sunday. So tune in next Sunday to see if we hit that 100 of subscriber. If we did, all you have to do is leave a message, and then you can even just say hi. And at the end of the show, the computer picks up everybody who left the comments, and then you are automatically in the drawing. So hopefully next Sunday we will be giving away a Saber.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll leave you with the talk of the town. You guys have a good night.
Thank you, Graveyard. I love you and appreciate you, dude. And let's come home safely.
Yes. All right. Bye, everyone.